sign language interpreters, assistive listening devices, or other auxiliary aids and/or services may be provided upon request. To ensure availability, you are advised to make a request at least 72 hours prior to the meeting you wish to attend. All public comment will be heard on item number 2 on the agenda. We'll dedicate a total of 45 minutes to public comment. Members of the public will have 1 minute per agenda item, or a maximum of 2 minutes total. At the request of the speaker will then be given 1 additional minute for general public comment, for a maximum of 3 minutes total. The order of the speakers will be: a speaker in this room will go first, then we will take a speaker watching today's meeting on Zoom. We will alternate between speakers in the room and Zoom for a total of 45 minutes. Members of the public who participate in public comment are reminded that they can speak to any item on the agenda or a matter within the jurisdiction of the Board of Police Commissioners. Public comment is your opportunity to address the board, so you're free to express your opinion on matters before the board and to generally express when you disagree with other opinions expressed. However, directing your comments to other individuals who have spoken or attacking others who have expressed their opinions shall be deemed off topic, and your public comment period will be concluded. Members of the public, if you choose to participate in the public comment portion of the agenda, you can participate in this meeting in a number of ways outlined on the agenda. Message for those attending the meeting in person. These meetings are regular meetings between the board, the department, and key stakeholders. Meetings of the Board of Police Commissioners are open to the public. The state's Ralph M. Brown Act affords the public their opportunity to present at the meetings, hear the presentations and dialogue in real time, and provide feedback via the public comment period. During these meetings, there's a need for the board to carry out public business expeditiously without delays or disruptions. Members of the audience shall not engage in any conduct which causes an actual disruption of the meeting. Those attending in person are reminded that disruptive behavior will be cause for removal. If you disrupt this meeting, you will be provided with 1 and only 1 warning to cease disruptive behavior. If you fail to cease such behavior, you will be removed from the meeting. All attendees must be seated. Failure to follow this rule will result in a warning and/or removal from the meeting. Before we move to the agenda items, I'd like to address a recent news story about the department's recruitment division. I believe that I can speak for all members of the Police Commission when I say that the behavior alleged is unacceptable. The Los Angeles Police Department prides itself on its high recruitment standards and its merit-based selection process. To hear, even in allegations, that this may not be the case is concerning, and I'd like to assure the public that the department is conducting a full investigation. The Office of the Inspector General is monitoring this investigation, and they have from the onset of those allegations. And I thank them in advance for their continued attention to this matter. The other item I'd like to mention is we're going to be moving regular agenda item 4C, the department's report, to a later date when the speaker is available to address the board. With that, we will move to item number 1, the report of the Chief of Police, Chief McDonald.
Morning, President Suthers, Vice President Shields, Commissioners, Acting Inspector General Hugh, City Attorney De La Guerra, and Mr. Sibley. Today I'll be discussing significant events from the previous 2 weeks, providing a crime update, and discussing our personnel strength. During the previous 2 weeks, we had 2 officer-involved shootings. The first involves Metropolitan Division. On February 11th, at approximately 9:55, Harbor Division uniformed officers responded to a radio call of a 415 man with a gun at Western Avenue and Lomita Boulevard. When the officers arrived in the area, they observed the suspect, later identified as Samuel Condi, armed with a revolver and walking east on 254th Street from Bellport Avenue. That's in the Harbor City area. As they attempted to contact Condi, he began to run, and the officers initiated a foot pursuit. Condi ultimately ran to the rear of the residence at 25718 Bellport Avenue, which was overgrown with foliage and littered with large mounds of debris. Metropolitan Division K-9 personnel responded, searched the yard, determined that Condi was hiding inside a metal storage shed. Condi was given multiple commands to surrender, however, he refused. The officers requested the resources of Metropolitan Division Special Weapon and Tactics, who responded and began negotiating with Condi to surrender. Approximately 1 hour later, Condi was observed in the yard holding a revolver while walking in the direction of officers, and an officer-involved shooting occurred. Despite being struck by gunfire, Condi refused to surrender, prompting the use of a beanbag shotgun, a taser, and a directed canine bite. He He was subsequently taken into custody without further incident. Los Angeles Fire Department personnel who were staged at the scene immediately rendered aid to Condi. He was then transported by rescue ambulance to a local hospital where he was treated for his wounds and cleared for booking. No officers or other community members were injured during the incident. Condi's handgun has not been located, however. A discharged 38 caliber cartridge casing was recovered in the yard near where he was taken into custody. Force Investigation Division investigators responded to the scene and continue to investigate this incident. The second OIS was in Wilshire Division. On February 19th, Wilshire Area Uniform Gang Enforcement Detail officers were assisting with a burglary task force when they became involved in a vehicle pursuit of a possible burglary suspect. During the pursuit, the suspect, who was later identified as Quentin Monk, drove to the area of Oakwood Avenue and June Street, entering a cul-de-sac. Monk turned the vehicle around and accelerated toward officers, resulting in an officer-involved shooting. Monk refused to stop and continued to flee in his vehicle as a pursuit continued, terminating at the intersection of Beverly Boulevard and Wilton Avenue when he collided with an occupied vehicle. After the collision, Monk attempted to escape on foot but was quickly taken into custody. Monk was not struck during the OIS and no officers were injured during the incident. However, the driver of the vehicle involved in the collision was transported to a local hospital and treated for minor injuries. Force Investigation Division investigators responded to the scene and are investigating this incident as well. Year to date, we've had 5 officer-involved shootings, the same number as this time last year. We had a pursuit that ended in a traffic collision on February 16th, about 23:50 hours. Central Patrol officers responded to the area of 1100 East 5th Street following 2 recent radio calls, one of which reported 3 armed men wearing ski masks at a private party club event. While on scene, a security guard from the event pointed out a gray Mercedes and shouted, "They have a gun." Officers tactically approached the vehicle, which was occupied by 2 males. As officers attempted to order them out of the vehicle, the suspects ignored commands and fled at a high rate of speed. A vehicle pursuit was initiated at 5th and Alameda. As suspects entered the Santa Monica Freeway, officers lost visual contact, but the air unit located the vehicle as it exited at Los Angeles Street. While exiting, the suspect vehicle ran red light and collided with 2 uninvolved motorists. All individuals remained in their vehicles until officers arrived. The passenger in the vehicle, passenger in the suspect vehicle and the driver of one of the uninvolved vehicles sustained fractures and were transported to a local hospital for treatment. The driver of the suspect vehicle, identified as a juvenile, complained of pain but had no significant injuries. The driver and passenger of the third vehicle were not injured. The juvenile suspect was booked for felony evading, and due to the seriousness of the injuries sustained, the multidisciplinary investigation team responded to the scene and is handling the investigation. On February 22nd, at approximately 2010 hours, Central Area Uniform Patrol officers were in the vicinity of Grand Avenue and Washington Boulevard when they observed a motorcyclist believed to be part of a larger group seen in the area earlier. Officers attempted to conduct a traffic stop, but the motorcyclist failed to yield and subsequently crashed into a streetlight. Officers immediately stopped, took the subject into custody, and rendered aid. The motorcyclist, a 16-year-old male, was transported to the hospital where he was treated for multiple fractures, an intracranial hemorrhage, and a lacerated aorta. He was cited for reckless driving. The multidisciplinary collision investigation team responded to the scene and is handling the traffic collision investigation. On February 21st, at approximately 3:10 in the morning, West Valley officers observed 2 masked burglary suspects exiting a closed California restaurant carrying a crowbar and a hammer. A third suspect, a female, was waiting in a parked white Mercedes-Benz. As officers attempted to investigate, the suspects fled, leading to a 7-minute pursuit on freeways and surface streets. During the pursuit, the suspects slowed near the 101 freeway on-ramp. The primary unit maneuvered to avoid a collision but struck a curb and a light pole. The secondary unit then collided with the primary unit, resulting in 1 officer sustaining minor injuries. The officer was treated and released from a local hospital. Valley Traffic Division has handled the collision investigation. The suspect later crashed in the Tarzana Hospital parking lot, where all suspects fled on foot. Officers impounded the Mercedes and recovered burglary tools and other evidence. Further investigation by Van Nuys detectives linked the vehicle to the female driver, who was later arrested for burglary and evading police. Detectives are working to identify the remaining suspects. Over the past week, we've seen a concerning rise in burglary incidents across the San Fernando Valley, particularly in Devonshire, Van Nuys, and West Valley areas. These crimes have targeted both businesses and residents, with suspects acting in coordinated efforts to gain entry, steal property, and evade law enforcement. On February 16th and 17th, 3 residential burglaries were reported in West Valley, all involving a silver BMW 3 Series. Surveillance footage recovered from each location helped link these incidents, and during the investigation, officers recovered a lighter from one of the suspects, which has been submitted for DNA analysis. The suspect vehicle was later found and impounded in the city of Palmdale, where detectives recovered gloves and expired identification cards belonging to burglary victims. Efforts to identify the suspects are ongoing, with assistance from multiple divisions and investigative resources. In Devonshire, during the early mornings of February 17th, 3 businesses, a Taco Bell, Yonder Coffee, and Jamba Juice, were burglarized in quick succession. In each case, suspects shattered the front glass doors to gain entry, ransacked the locations, and fled. CCTV footage suggests these burglaries were committed by the same group who used a blue Hyundai sedan during at least one of the crimes. As of now, no investigative lead has been established to identify the suspects, but a crime alert is pending. In Van Nuys, officers responded to an attempted residential burglary at 8:30 a.m. on February 17th. A group of 5 suspects arrived in a 2006 silver BMW, with 4 individuals entering the victim's property via the backyard. Thanks to an alert neighbor who contacted police, suspects fled before gaining entry. The vehicle, later identified as having an active felony warrant from West LA, was impounded by the LA County Sheriff's Department, but the suspects remain at large. These incidents highlight a troubling trend of organized burglary crews operating in the valley. The department is using every available tool to identify and apprehend those responsible. We're coordinating efforts across multiple divisions and agencies, ensuring information is shared efficiently. As captured on news yesterday, on February 22nd at about 4:30 in the afternoon, a group of bicyclists attacked a driver near San Vicente and Carrillo Drive. The incident began as a verbal dispute and escalated when some suspects vandalized the victim's vehicle, prompting him to get out of the car. The group then physically assaulted him, punching and kicking him even after he fell to the ground. Wilshire detectives are actively investigating. The video evidence confirms that the suspects damaged the vehicle and assaulted the victim. Detectives have identified witnesses, reviewed additional footage, and linked this group to a robbery at a Rampart area 7-Eleven on the same day. The same suspects also attempted to enter a 7-Eleven in West Los Angeles, but employees, recognizing the threat, locked the doors, activated the alarm, preventing another crime. A news release has been issued, and efforts to identify the suspects is ongoing, working with other divisions and law enforcement partners to compare video footage and explore investigative leads. Wilshire detectives will follow up with the victim and continue coordinating with specialized units on strategy to address large groups of disruptive bicyclists. Over the past 4 weeks, overall crime trends in Los Angeles have shown a slight decline, with combined persons and property crimes down just under 1% compared to the previous period. Persons crimes have decreased by 3.8%, while property crimes remain stable. While homicides remain down 22.2% year-to-date compared to 2024, we've seen an increase in the past month, with homicides rising by 92.3%, or 12 more homicides compared to the prior 4 weeks. Additionally, the number of shooting victims has increased by 37.7%, or 26 more shooting victims in the past month, with notable spikes in Southeast, Topanga, and Southwest areas. On a positive note, aggravated assaults have decreased 3.5%, or 38 crimes over the past 4 weeks. We're continuing to monitor this activity. However, no trend or pattern has been associated with the increase. Robberies are down 4.6% over the last month. Burglaries have increased by 18.6% over the last month. Several divisions, including Devonshire, Olympic, Van Nuys, Pacific, Northeast, and Topanga, have experienced notable increases. Residential burglaries have risen sharply by almost 34%, with significant spikes in Olympic, Pacific, Devonshire, and Topanga areas. Non-residential burglaries have increased by 4.6%, with Devonshire and West LA seeing the largest jumps. Several burglary crews have been identified as possibly being involved. Our detectives are working to apprehend those suspects responsible, and we continue to deploy additional resources to troubled areas. Vehicle thefts remain relatively stable, down 0.5% or 9 incidents over the last 4 weeks. And then on our update on our personnel strength as of February 24th, sworn personnel is currently holding at 8778. Civilian personnel staffing is at 2664, and reserve officers are at 379. That completes my report this morning, Mr. President.
Thank you, Chief. Just one question. I'd like to go to personnel that are deployed for the fires regarding access to their homes, escorts to their homes, traffic control. What percentage or what number of people do we have still doing that? And is it still 12 on, 12 off deployment?
Yeah, we have still a contingent out there, and it varies. We have, I believe it's 2 and 20 a day, but I'll get to the exact numbers. The CHP are still deployed in the Palisades area, assisting with crime suppression efforts, and the National Guard are still on scene as well. So we've been able to retain those assets for an extended period of time, and they have been very, very helpful. We have also been able to, I think, deter people from coming into that area and doing what otherwise might be burglaries or looting events.
And Chief, going back to your comments about the February 22nd attack at San Vicente and Carrillo, these bicycle crews have been extremely problematic over the last year. We had a presentation by the task force here several months ago. What's being done to address that? I do know that in some instances they obviously are becoming a little bit more aggressive. They're taunting people out of their cars. When they get out of their cars, unfortunately, they've done to this gentleman to others. What actions are we taking, and does it seem to be organized in any way?
Yeah, it does seem to be organized. The actions we're taking is an investigative follow-up using a video to try and identify the individuals as best we can. As I mentioned, that they had shown up at 2 other 7-Elevens. There'll be video most likely at those locations. Some of these are masked up as they do this, so that makes it a little bit more difficult. But they're trying to put this together, identify these individuals, and hold them accountable. When you have serial events like this, it's a relatively, in this case, 20 to 30, not small, but the same people doing this over and over again. So as we get investigative leads, I think with some arrests, we can have a major impact on seeing the reoccurrence of this.
Okay, thank you. I'll open the floor for other questions or comments. Vice President Shields.
Thank you, President Southers, and thank you, Chief, for the report. I'll go back to the news report that President Southers mentioned at the outset. Obviously, the hearing about allegations that there were racist, sexist comments being made by officers, particularly those in the recruiting office, is very troubling, to say the least. And not only is it troubling that officers are making these types of statements, but also that they're making them so openly, which tells me, it indicates either that everyone thought that this was acceptable behavior, or that they thought that nothing would happen to them if they got caught. Which is, again, troubling in terms of how seriously is the department taking these types of allegations, and how seriously does the department take allegations of improper remarks being made. And I know we've had people come to the commission and complain that certain things that they've been called, like black fool, was seen as non-disciplinary. I think both the Inspector General's office and I personally, and potentially other commissioners, feel like that's not the appropriate result. So how is it that, and I understand that individual discipline is outside the purview of the commission. That's not something that LA City Charter gives us any authority over. But I'd ask the executive director, Django, to work with the department to give us as commissioners more visibility into the types of discipline that is being meted out for these types of improper comments, and also other things of concern that we've talked about before, like DUIs. I think it's important for the commission to see more regularly what that looks like. And so, Chief, to you, and I understand there's an ongoing investigation, and can't get into any of those details, but can you talk generally about, what steps you've taken in terms of dealing with the people who are involved, ensuring that the whistleblower is not retaliated against, and also, given that this was done in the recruiting office, whether there's any steps to look at people who may have been rejected based on animus or any other, improper motivation.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate the concern and the support that we've gotten from the commission. Working with the IG right from the beginning, as soon as we became aware of this, we put together a team to look at it, internal affairs, and we have relieved and assigned to home those that are involved as we can determine. The investigation is still ongoing. It led to a further individual being identified, and then later our command staff officer on an unrelated, directly to this case, but not dissimilar allegation. So we move forward. We take it very seriously. I think that you'll see as that investigation proceeds, we'll be able to keep you up to speed a little bit more on what we found and what actions will be taken. But of great concern to all of you and certainly to all of us that where recruiting is such a critical piece of our ability to be able to move forward, that it be done as well as it possibly can be and beyond reproach. And so the people who work in those areas are held to a very high standard. This was very disappointing to everybody. But we took immediate action, brought in or worked with the Inspector General, and as we continue to move forward with this, people who will be held appropriately accountable for their behavior.
And is the department taking any steps to make sure that the person who disclosed this information is not being penalized in any way?
Yeah, it was an anonymous complaint, but certainly if identification is made, that's a consideration we'll take seriously as well.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Vice President Shields. Mr. Kalanchik.
No questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Garcia.
No, thank you.
Commissioner Sanchez-Wood.
Yes, I have a question. Thank you, Chief, for your report. Could you just elaborate a little bit more on those 12 new homicides, 90% plus increase since the last time, since a similar time period? What areas were these homicides?
Yeah, I got a brief yesterday, and I'd have to get back to you on the specifics of that without going through all the books here. I'm happy to do that. But there were a couple of multiples around the city, and I can get to you on the areas. But that certainly impacted the numbers. Multiples meaning that the same suspect is involved in those crimes. Yeah, if I could, I'll get back to you offline on those numbers.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. We now go to agenda item number 2, public comment. Secretary, please call the first speaker.
Our first speaker is Jenna. My name is Jenna Miscavige. My uncle David Miscavige is the leader of Scientology. I was born and raised in Scientology, and just before my 2nd birthday, my parents moved our family right here to Los Angeles to join Scientology's most dedicated group, where they signed 1 billion-year contracts, dedicating all of our souls, lifetime after lifetime, to Scientology. Joining this group meant I would never live in a home with my parents for the entirety of my childhood. It also meant being deprived of an education and being worked for long hours each day, digging trenches, hauling rocks, and being exposed to dangerous chemicals and handling asbestos, all before the age of 12 years old. It meant being shipped across the country from my family at 12 years old and not seeing my parents but for a few moments for the remainder of my childhood. It meant being forbidden to call them and physically restrained from doing so, while having no way of communicating with them that wasn't monitored and intercepted by Scientology. It meant years of soul-destroying interrogations while being in a room I could not leave, being asked questions of a sexual nature day after day for years while being videotaped. Today, I am a mother of 2 beautiful children, and only now can I fully understand what this government-sanctioned, tax-exempt organization really takes away from the children who grow up there, and the devastating lifelong damage it does to those who have no way of protecting themselves. And they do this through controlling their parents. The document you're about to hear is in LAPD's possession via a computer hard drive that was obtained as part of the Danny Masterson case. The hard drive was imaged, metadata secured, it's been forensically authenticated by LAPD, and lays bare Scientology's corruption, how they put the organization's interests above the safety and basic human rights of its parishioners. The ones who suffer the most are Scientology's children, the ones who suffer the most are the children of Scientology's parishioners and staff, because they cannot protect themselves and they don't know any different. I was one of those children, and there are so many others. I'm here today to make sure their voices are heard. This letter was copied to Scientology's Legal Affairs Office, Scientology's Chief Ethics Officer, as well as to the chaplain and the file of the alleged predator. Where was the mandatory reporting to the proper authorities?
Thank you.
Next, we have Betty Knight.
Good morning.
Good morning. What items would you like to speak on?
Chief's report, agenda items, public comment, please.
Okay, 3 minutes.
First off, I'd like to thank the chief for his report, and I'd also like for you to look into having the neighborhood prosecutor program brought back. I know our city attorney met with our group and said she would not be eliminating the program, though she lied, and within the next couple of weeks it was gone. It's a wonderful program. It has proven to increase vulnerability and promise and good results. We just really need it back. Also, for agenda items, I support the donation items, and I support agenda items L and M. And with that, I hope everybody stays healthy and safe, and I yield the rest of my time.
Okay. Next, we have Serge Del Mar.
So this is the follow-up letter of what Jenna just mentioned. I was a child that was trafficked into a Scientology hotel as well, and exactly like Jenna said, we were horrifically abused. This is what's in LAPD's possession. A letter that says, from a Scientology mother, Greg, Bill and I, to say the least, are disappointed and disgusted with your perverted sexual addiction. On a personal level, you put us at risk by using our home computers to go to child porn sites. The internet is monitored activity, and you know, as many lawsuits that we consult, testify in, and all the subpoenas we get at any time, our computers could have ended up in some courtroom. Child pornography is a federal offense. As a law student, you knew. You lived with us at our expense and violated practically every room in our home. You are in treason to Bill and I. Not only did you masturbate all over my house, but you also had to violate our offices, the same company that paid $33,000 for you to go to law school. As if that wasn't bad enough, you took it a step further and used our clients' computers and printers to masturbate to, and then the Commonwealth Title Company's employees caught you and confronted you, and you continued anyways. Let us not even talk to you about the lawyer's Ventura. Just another incident. The whole title industry knows that we are Scientologists, and you have done a lot to damage our good opinion they had of us. What you did in regards to my daughter, she's totally capable of handling by herself. What is unspeakable is your action in regards to my 7-year-old family member. Let me be specific about that for the other parties who have been CC'd. When you were at the beach with her class, all of a sudden you had to pee, and you as an adult male with no medical problems could not wait to go next door to the restaurant, and you had to wait until everyone in her class had left and take her into a portable toilet because it was such an emergency, and you were so concerned for her safety. You told her to close her eyes and she peed. She yelled at her when she tried to handle her upset over what she saw. We asked her, "What did you hear him pee?" She said, "I don't remember him pee." I don't know if he peed or just squeezed it. She has more to tell us. I'm sure she will. If I ever catch you even looking at her, I will call the cops. Do not let me see you with any other child. I will go to the parents and tell them all about you. This is a promise. This is a Scientology mother. This is what she knows. The LAPD is not protecting or serving the kids that have grown up in Scientology. You have this document and you've done nothing.
No more kids in Scientology.
Next we have Art.
What's the next name?
Art, I will speak to all items.
8 minutes.
All right, starting off with the chief's report. The chief's report should be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes at every meeting. If the chief's report exceeds 3 minutes, we shall match the amount of time the chief takes. Regardless of how long the chief takes to provide his comment, all speakers should be able to hear or be able to speak regardless of whether you called in or whether you were in person. And if you don't like the person who signed up for comment, you should still take their comment instead of filtering them out and screening the calls. All right. And, and of course we have the whole scandal you were talking about. And, Rasha mentioned about the whole, they probably did it because they didn't think anyone happened. That's because it's true. You're not going to do anything. Everyone knows that. And, it really, I think there's some kind of really extreme culture going on here or something. Because, this is how the LAPD treats, individuals who are trying to become one of you, who are trying to become cops. How do they talk about just random citizens and such? That's kind of interesting question there. And of course the LAPD continues to do the violent, car chases that get other people injured. Alright, let's move on to the consent agenda. We have something related to, like, firing ranges or something. Is this where they train to shoot civilians or something? We have like a VR thing. It's really weird. We have an automated license plate reader. Is that going to be used to send data to ICE for their mass deportations that are targeting undocumented immigrants and causing harm to them? We have $14,000 for the police memorial ceremony. Only that money was spent to remembering all the people shot by the LAPD. We have, let's see, we have a canopy for the bomb squad. Is that where they do their press conferences, where they blow up the neighborhood? We have a video wall screen repair. We have $21,000 for morale and well-being. Again, nothing buys morale and well-being like $21,000 for one division. We have $2,500 for hosting fund, $900 for storage. This is just a ridiculous thing. But yeah, just a big mess, yeah.
Next we have Aaron Smith.
All Scientology wants is to be treated just like all the world's major religions. And even though there's only about 25,000 Scientologists in the entire world, I think they should get exactly what they want. In a letter dated May 2nd, 2019, the then California Attorney General wrote to the Archbishop of the Catholic Archdiocese of LA requesting that church officials preserve documents related to clergy abuse allegations. Quote, "The California DOJ is conducting a review of your archdiocese's handling of sexual misconduct allegations involving children, including whether your archdiocese has adequately reported allegations of sexual misconduct as required under California's Child Abuse and Neglect Reporting Act." California's Child Abuse and Neglect Reporting Act, or CANRA, was signed into law in 1981. In 1997, CANRA was updated to include all clergy members as mandatory reporters. It is not a coincidence that in 1997, Scientology issued an order to its senior staff that all internal ethics reports detailing crimes committed by Scientologists were to have any incriminating words, such as rape or child sex abuse, removed from the report and replaced with certain codes before such reports were sent up to management. This is according to former high-ranking Sea Org member Claire Headley, who testified under oath as an expert witness in Scientology at the Danny Masterson rape trial just over 1 year ago. When the DDA asked Claire Headley under oath, quote, "If a person were to report another member for a crime such as rape, is there any policy or direction that ethics officer would take in writing that report?" Claire Headley answered, "Yes. In 1997, an order was issued where terms of a sensitive nature, such as rape and sexual assault, were no longer to be written in reports because copies of those reports go to RTC and OSA, which are two senior high-level Scientology organizations. And they would use a code to remove those terms from the reports. Scientology's most dedicated clergy members are called Sea Org members. These are the individuals who signed the billion-year contracts in service to Scientology. Under CANRA, all Scientology Sea Org members, as clergy members, are mandated reporters for child abuse, including child sex abuse. Reports must be made immediately or as soon as practically possible, and to the civil authorities, not just to the internal Scientology authorities. I can tell you from personal experience of having been a Scientologist and a Sea Org member, it is 100% directly against Scientology policy to ever report another Scientologist to the civil authorities at any time for any reason, including child rape. Reporting another Scientologist to the civil authorities gets you expelled from Scientology. Raping doesn't get you expelled. Reporting it does get you expelled. CANRA is the law of the land. This is the standard we are asking Scientology to be held to. It is the standard all the religions are held to. We ask that a grand jury be impaneled in LA to investigate cover-up of child sex crimes within Scientology. We have copies of transcripts of our statements and some supplemental information for anybody who would like a copy.
Thank you.
Stop abuse of women.
Next we have Steve Riley.
Good morning.
Morning, what items would you like to speak on?
All items, please.
Okay, 3 minutes.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank Becky, Police Commission staff, for helping with a situation last week where letters were submitted to be posted on the LAPDonline.org site, and they were not posted. So she helped to resolve that situation in a positive way. She was very professional and very helpful. So thank you. We talked about recruitment today, and I want to point out that the last class had 25, only 25 recruits graduate. The goal is 60. Now, if you look at the demographic breakdown from the website, lapdonline.org, the breakdown of the 25 is 18 Hispanic, 4 African Americans, 2 Asians, and 1 Hawaiian. I'm using your terminology. I don't use that terminology. And if you go on to the letter that I posted for today, you'll see more detail on my thoughts on this subject. But there is conspicuously a group missing. And I don't believe in grouping people by race, just for the record. But I do not see any recruit graduate of what I would call European descent. Now, why is that? Is there a whole population pool that is not interested in becoming police officers? Or is this an issue of discrimination? Of a certain population pool not feeling welcome in the LAPD? I think that needs to be examined. There needs to be an investigation as to why. This is not the only time this has occurred. I brought this up when Interim Chief Choi presided over the first graduation class he presided over. So what is going on at the LAPD in terms of recruitment? Now, whatever happened with those, there's been allegations of racial remarks or such. I really would like to know details at some point, and I guess we will get them eventually, but everyone has to be one color in the LAPD, blue, and we need to have a culture of one standard. I've heard different remarks, and whatever the subject is, recruitment, hiring, promotion, enforcement of the law as regards certain religions, there must be one standard, a culture of one standard. And I will leave you with that, a culture of one standard. And by the way, police commissioners, ask questions. There are two police commissioners that didn't have any questions at all. You have to care, you have to be competent. If you're not, resign your position. God bless you, LAPD, and thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Michael.
Members of the Police Commission, thank you for letting me speak today. What we just heard in the letter that was just read out to you is not an allegation. It is not an admission. It's a mother in Scientology who was admitted to crimes against children in that letter. I invite each and every single one of you to take a moment today, get a copy of this letter, and read through it. This is damning evidence that has been in the hands of the LAPD. How many mandated reporters does it take to ensure not a single report is filed? The law is clear. Scientology, along with the LAPD, is legally bound to report such abuse under the 1997 Child Protection Act and now reinforced by the Assembly Bill 506. Institutions like Scientology are mandated to report child abuse. Where are the reports? I ask you once again, take time and read this letter today. AB 506 requires that during auditing sessions of any religious counseling involving a minor, that at least 2 mandated reporters are present. Professionals are legally obligated to report abuse, must be present in all personnel. Rigorous live standing background checks are supposed to be happening with these mandated reporters. Where are those? Yet, despite these safeguards, credible evidence of these abuses is systemically neglected at the LAPD. I ask you, how many more children must suffer due to this gross failure of mandated reporters, not only within religious organization, but also, as we know now from what has been revealed today, right within the LAPD itself? Why are we mandated reporters not helping kids?
Thank you.
No more kids in Scientology.
Next, we have Audit LA.
call him friend, I'm proud to call him friend, his name is Serge. He grew up in Scientology, and he, telling me his story, is the reason, him, Laura too, but him, he's the reason I fight hard. This is why I come to every police commission meeting, almost every meeting there is. Okay, I come because of him. He's been crying for help and justice. He's just one of hundreds who have been crying for help, for justice, and has been falling on deaf ears. So I've been here screaming at the top of my lungs, not literally, but to get him and the others heard. There has to be something done. That's why I'm begging you to remove Janet Whelan and any Scientologist from CPAB, because the people who are doing this, who are protecting what happened to them, are advising LAPD on your CPAB, sir. And I believe you are a reasonable man. You promised you'd listen, and I believe that. And I'm trusting you on that. They have to be held accountable. We have all been attacked and fair game as well for speaking up. But it's to the point, whatever they want to plan to do to me, they can do to me. But I will never not help my friend Serge, because he's my friend at this point. And Jenna, her uncle runs. He's like the head of Scientology. And the bravery it takes for her to come here and tell her story to your face. I'm in tears. I don't know her as well, but I thank you for what you said. And thank you for coming forward, because her doing that, she could have chosen to protect family name, whatever, over, the children, but she hasn't. And I salute her for that. But this is my friend, Serge. He's my friend. I love this guy. I love, his husband, Michael. These are my friends. These are the people I will be in the trenches with. I want you to remember his face. He's why I'm here. He represents every child that has ever been abused, and every child that is still being abused, just by their mere practices of auditing. If you only understood, I know right now he's not able to really tell you, but sir, chief, I am begging you, so when he is able to please hear him out as to what auditing means. Because it's not like us with the police department, where you audit and you see no, it's very different, and it's intrinsically abusive. And there's already laws to protect these children on the books. They just, like Michael was saying, they just need to be engaged and enforced. But I am begging you, do not forget my friend Serge and Jenna and everyone who is standing up for these kids. Please, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
No more kids in Scientology.
Next, we have William Good. I'm sorry, can we get the letters?
Yes. Who's going?
Good morning. So you guys are talking about improper remarks, right? I'm Black Fool, that she's talking about. An officer referred to me as a Black Fool. I sent 14 emails to this guy right here, asking if that's appropriate, and if somebody does it to another black man again, will that be considered misconduct? I have not heard from him yet. All of these people have been CC'd on those emails. So when you guys pretend like you actually care, you've been on those emails. Now you talk about improper remarks. I know my friend back here was at a community day event when one of your senior lead officers, the liaison to the community, called him a murderer and then said he beats his wife. Lies. This cop lied on a community member, called him a murderer, said he beats his wife. That could get somebody hurt. That could get somebody killed. I confronted this guy at the parade the other day. I walked with him for about a half a mile, maybe a mile. And I confronted him. I said, is that appropriate? Because you want to know why? He sent me a reply letter back that said that it was non-disciplinary. Calling him a murderer, lying on him, is non-disciplinary. Calling him a wife beater is non-disciplinary. They're allowed to just lie like that, Shields? They're allowed to lie like that, Southers? And so when I asked him about it to his face, the only thing he could say is, good morning. Good morning. And when I asked him about being called a Black Bull, what did he say? Good morning. Good morning. So you guys talk about accountability, talk to that guy right there. Because he's doing nothing. And here to do nothing. It is, Karen Bass is running for re-election, and she does not want the police union being pissed off at her. So he has come in, I've talked to the captain of Hollywood Division, and he has said specifically at a CPAD meeting, I have it on recording, that the disciplinary process is too hard on the cops. That it's unfair for the cops. That's what you said. I had commanders come and tell me that. So when you hear that this man or that officers, that senior lead officers, are calling somebody a murderer and calling somebody a wife beater, and they do nothing about it, that's on you guys. That's on you guys, right? I'm talking about Scientology a little bit, right? And one time you guys actually investigated their crimes was when they investigated the Danny Masterson case. You had some detectives go and investigate. And what did the Church of Scientology do? Harass the shit out of the detectives. Broke their windows. And what did you guys do? What did you do? Did nothing. You guys do nothing. I'm going to say right now, you guys have a recruiting problem. The recruiting problem is your fault. It's the reflection that you guys are showing this community, the disrespect you've shown the community, that's what's going to come back and haunt you. Enjoy your day.
Don't incite violence at protest.
Thank you. Count how many? How many others? I got it, Michael.
So several points I take some notes. Number one, I heard you mentioned about the recruitment scandal. This specific incident was, caught on social media, but I was wondering how many scandals are there were not published on social media, so it will never get to your attention. Number two, I heard the President Salters ask about the bicycle gang and then attack on the whatever person.
I think he's got a few more copies.
President said it's a problem. It's a problem for 2 or 3 years. I disagree with our president because 2 years ago, President said it's a problem. 1 year ago, President said it's a problem. This year is a problem. Next year, he will continue to say it's a problem because if I believe something is a problem that it hurts public safety, the police commissioner will solve that problem already. If we have a sheriff, Texas-style sheriff, never attack again, they will learn the consequence of the law. But because of this is LA, and then again, I made the same assumption many times in the meeting. Violent, whatever on the street. He said, one of your residents I am a coward. I don't know how to fight. In the city of LA, everybody knows they can come to my apartment because we don't have a gun. Everybody can loot my house, burglar my house, knowing that I'm afraid to shoot. So what's that happen? Those burglary will continue to occur more often, and more often. And then President Salter said this is a problem. Wait, 1 year ago, next year, he will say the same thing. 2 years later, 3 years later, until the moment he retired, he will continue to say it's a problem.
Next we have DOA.
Oh, I'm not showing DOA.
Jonathan Foster. Hello, Chief. Good morning, Chief. Good morning, Mr. President, Dr. Southers, Madam Vice President. General, you, Executive Director, Sibley, City Attorney, Carlos De La Guerra, if I said it wrong, I'll get it right next time. Executive Assistant Munoz and Executive Assistant Silva. I'm Jonathan Foster. And I've learned that if you come in with a hammer, all you do is hurt people. I thought I'd say good morning. But I do support the police 100%. I think it does 98% excellent service. It's got 2% that's gross, and this gross stuff covers the 40% of the sexual assault, 40% of DUI, and of course the murder. But it's the murder, it's passed by past commissions approved this murder, and now you have approved murder. And this, it was on a 4-to-1 decision. This is why I said that the commission needs to be 23 commissioners, like a grand jury judge. Change that, please. Supporting means prosecuting badge tarnishers. That's what support means. I wanted to say something too in support. I know, how come so many people let other people commit crime and then an officer has to basically